Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I am Marc Givler, joined today by Andrew Ellis. Andrew, Commitment Edition. Is this your first Commitment Edition of the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast?
It is. Big day for me. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So big day for everybody here. Yes. Jerquaden Guilford, four-star wide receiver, is a Buckeye. Commits to Ohio State over Ole Miss and others. Had initially committed to Penn State early in the process, but opened it up a while back, and Ohio State and Ole Miss had kind of emerged at that point as the two probable most likely destinations. There's some other schools in there as well, but those were the two, I guess, most heavily linked. As we discussed yesterday in the Skull Session podcast, he had a late June decision set, which at the time was like, oh, maybe it's going to be Ohio State because of the momentum Ohio State had. But as we got closer to the date, realized, Ole Miss might be getting him. He took a deep breath. He sat back. He waited roughly a month, not quite a month, and reassess things, maybe a less emotional decision, and showed what I said at the time, a lot of maturity and self-awareness to realize, hey, maybe I'm not ready to do this, and maybe I shouldn't force it. Maybe I should sit down with my family for a few more weeks. And that's what he's done. And now he's a Buckeye, Andrew, and just kind of I think we expected this once he did the new date and everything, kind of where this was trending, but still good news nonetheless. Just because you were expecting it doesn't mean it's not good news.
Yeah, it's good news. I am a fan. Brian Hartline is a fan. He knows far more than I do. He has seen this kid a lot at camps and whatnot. And I mean, you have to be pretty dang good to even get an offer, and you have to be really, really dang good for Ohio State, for Brian Hartline to like really push for you, especially when you have four wide receivers already in the class. And we talked about it yesterday. The fifth guy in the class doesn't mean he's like fifth in the pecking order. And I'm not going to sit here and like rank them as far as how I see him or anything. But, this kid's 6'2", 190. Looks like he plays a lot on the outside in his highlights, but, not the most competitive league, I guess. Fort Wayne isn't the most it's not IMG Academy or anything like that, but he returns some kicks on the highlights. And he's a guy who's going to be, I like this kid. I think I don't want anybody to just say, oh, great, another wide receiver. I think Guilford's a really good player. Does that mean he's going to make an impact in 2026? Probably not. Much like Mylan Graham, he's not from some football hotbed, but I really like this pickup for Brian Hartline.
Yeah, look, Ohio State's had good success in Fort Wayne with receivers. Austin Mack was a good player for them. I think we haven't seen it really yet. I think Mylan Graham's going to be a star. And despite not getting out there his freshman year, I think Mylan Graham's going to be a star in Columbus before he leaves. And so they've had some success here. They've done a good job scouting that area, and they've seen Jerquaden at camps. He's come to Ohio State to camp. He's jumped through all their hoops on Ohio State's end to prove himself. And they also got to look at him at the Under Armour Ohio camp, because Ryan Day was able to be there because his son was throwing at the camp. So he was able to watch Guilford there as well. So they've got a lot of eyeballs on Jerquaden Guilford here the last, let's call it 2.5 months, 3 months maybe. So spring evaluation period too. So this is a guy that, again, you have 4 receivers committed. You're not adding Guilford to this class if you don't think he's really good. There's no reason to do that if you don't think he's really good. You could, you can kick the can to next year. You have all these great receivers you're in 27 and 28. You don't need to be reaching right now with your numbers. So this shows you what they think about Jerquaden. This shows you maybe the unique kind of skill set he brings as a 6'2" guy who can stretch the field, who can return kicks, who can take screen passes and turn them into 70-yard gains. Very impressive young man, very impressive player. So I'm a fan of this one as well. I was able to see him a few times this spring, and wasn't sure the entire time, like if it would happen for Ohio State or not, whether he would go somewhere else, whether Ohio State would say, you know what, we've got enough receivers, whatever it might be. Wasn't sure this would work out, but super enthusiastic about it working out. And I think he has a ton of ability. So clearly they're done right now, right? Like with receiver 26, like, can we say that?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say they are done in 26. Obviously they have a 5-star committed for 2027 already in Jameer Brown too. In case anybody's forgotten how good Brian Hartline is at his job. But no, I mean, I like this pickup a lot. I think I like the kid a lot. I think I think when people think of slot receivers, they think of like guys that are like 5'11" and that kind of thing. This is a kid who's 6'2", can probably play anywhere. I mean, hell, they put Marvin Harrison in the slot there for a time. Right. Jeremiah Smith he looks like a guy who's going to be able to line up just about anywhere, even if it is maybe in 2027 or 2028 and not immediately as a true freshman, which is fine.
Yeah. I'll tell you who he reminds me of, who I think would want a mulligan if they could do their process over, reminds me of Noah Rogers. And the Noah Rogers like that I think Ohio State thought it was getting. And, I think if Noah Rogers could do it over, he would not have left. I think I've heard enough from people in North Carolina about that there was maybe some regret not staying at Ohio State and developing another year or two. But the skill set there of being 6'2" plus, having some juice athletically, being able to run, go vertical, being able to play in the slot, having a big body. There's a lot of things he's bringing to the table that I think will serve him well and will allow him to kind of fit in that puzzle, because it's a puzzle. You're trying to fit oftentimes three receivers together on a field, and not every guy can do everything, perfectly. Unless you're Jeremiah Smith, the other mortals have to specialize in certain things, and so I think he complements what they're bringing in very well, and much like a Brandon Innes complements very well what like Mylan Graham and Jeremiah Smith and guys like that can do on the outside. So I think this is a really good fit. And the other thing I'll say, and this deserves to have a spotlight on it in today's money first, Wild West, everything that's going on, is this kid not only is picking Ohio State over, again, as I called them yesterday, Ole Miss is a wide receiver factory. You can turn your nose down at Ole Miss all you want and say, well, where's their national championships? Where's their playoff appearances? Where's their SEC championships? That's fine. The NFL is littered with studs who played wide receiver at Ole Miss. Like, they are an NFL factory at wide receiver. So this is a kid who has handpicked Ohio State over other good options, probably over more money. And in my personal interactions, which I believe will rub off to all of you once he gets in the program and you start getting more familiar with him, there's a passion, kind of almost like a twinkle in his eye. He's got like this, he's very like enthusiastic about football, about Ohio State and Brian Hartline. Just when you ask him questions about the program, when you ask him questions about playing the game and developing, he answers with a huge smile on his face, with a lot of energy, a lot of juice. And so I think those are two things that deserve to be spotlighted during a time when all we seem to be talking about are NIL dollars and everything else.
Yeah, you said it. Like you said, I mean, Ole Miss knows what it's doing with wide receivers. So this isn't a win over Akron or Kent State. I mean, this is a wide receiver who could have pretty much gone anywhere. And Brian Hartline continues to do Brian Hartline things. So, yep.
So you're Brian Hartline, you're rolling, you're 18 months away from, maybe a little more, maybe 20 months away from producing maybe the most hyped NFL draft wide receiver prospect of all time. And I'm not giving Hartline all the credit for Jeremiah Smith, trust me, but like your resume right now is like all time high. Like if this is a stock, it has like exploded the last couple of years and it's about to reach all time highs in the next 2 years. You've got Jameer Brown, and you're basically done in 26. Like, you're not going to add in 26 at this point, unless something unforeseen would happen. You've got Jameer Brown in 27, who for my money is the number one receiver in 27. He's the best one I've seen so far. You're in on a bunch of other guys, but now you've got all this time to like come up with a couple guys in 27 and to get a head start on 2028. Like, how unfortunate is this for like the rest of college football?
Yeah, that's unfortunate for wide receiver coaches across the country. The other day I was trying to think of like some big name wideouts that Ohio State missed on that I like really wish they would have gotten. And yeah, DeCorian Moore was like the only name I really came up with. And he might start at Oregon this year. I know, what was it? Evan Stewart's out, I want to say. So that's really the only name I could come up with. I mean, the list is quite small, so it's impressive.
Yeah, he's done a really good, like, look, this is a guy who's done a good job evaluating. This is a guy who's done a great job at recruiting, just everything that recruiting entails. and getting these elite guys. But he's also done like a really good job of just like he gets himself in some of these 5-star battles, and he wins probably those battles at a higher percentage than anybody. But he's not batting 1,000 on them. Like he'll lose a guy, he'll lose a battle. He's always able to respond by like getting a kid who's like just as good. Like it's never like, oh, we got to go way down the list now to find our replacement for this guy. It's always like next man up. Like it's just it's machine-like at this point, where you worry about like, some of the misses on the offensive line or defensive line over the years. I'm like, oh boy, how are they going to, put this back to get, or even defensive back? Like, how are you going to replace this miss that you just had? And it's like with Brian Hartline, it's like, we'll find somebody, and we'll find somebody just as good. He's done a tremendous job of overcoming the misses that happen to every coach in recruiting. And so, again, this is another elite, in my opinion, recruiting class at the wide receiver position. I think this is a really strong group, and he's getting guys he wants, and now he's going to be able to turn the focus to 2027. So big pickup here for the Buckeyes. Jerquaden Guilford, 4-star wide receiver, Fort Wayne, Indiana, is in this class for Ohio State in 2026, which we believe will wrap things up at receiver recruiting. We are talking about this more on BuckeyeHuddle.com. We have a reaction article that we'll embed this podcast into as well, that you can, if you'd like to read about Jerquaden Guilford, you can do so over at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We'll be talking about him on the message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse as well. And so lots going on there. We great time to join. Like seasons here, guys. Like we're a few days from Big Ten Media Days. Fall camp's like a week away at this point. Like it's coming. And so this is a great time to be on the board with all of our X's and O's talk, our deep dives into the roster, fall camp, recruiting, everything, big decisions coming up that we outlined yesterday. So plenty of good reasons to join BuckeyeHuddle.com right now. But again, thank you, Andrew, for doing this. Great job on your first commitment edition. Clutch performance there. Appreciate you. But thanks everyone again for watching and listening, and stick with us here as we continue to cover Ohio State recruiting with some big decisions coming up.